Okay, thank you. So this webinar will be recorded, and you can get the opportunity to see it later as many times as you want. I am more than happy to see this very high interest for the topic, and I think that you know that that EOECS is working for celiac patients, and until today we mostly deal with food related questions and problems, and this is the first time to this is the first time to go over our usual topic. And can you ask Sue to start the sharing the screen? Thank you. And start. Okay. So, okay, thank you. And the next step, the next slide is the house rule. So it means that please be sure that your microphone is muted, and for the safety of the and quality of the webinar is better if you switch off your camera. If you have any questions, you can use the chat box, and if you have any questions, we might have time at the end, or if not, will be enough time. As we have your email address, you will get the answer for your questions. And it's very, very important, if you join, when you join this webinar, you agree that it will be recorded and shared with our stakeholders later. Thank you. The next slide, please. So we will have three speakers today: Cristina from Spain, Floris from the Netherlands, and Susanna from Italy. The next slide, please. About something about EOECS, because I guess that not all of you are familiar with our association. The next slide, please. So what is our cause? Celiac disease is a lifelong autoimmune condition, affects 1–2% of the population in the European Union. And this is a very, very interesting autoimmune disease, because we know what is the trigger factor of the symptoms. This is the gluten. It is the protein of cereals, and we know that this is a multi-system disorder, and a systemic disorder. It means that it can affect any organ of our body. So that's why it's very, very, very difficult to diagnose, because the symptoms are very wide, and another problem that the healthcare professionals are not really aware about the symptoms and the complexity of this disease. And at the moment, the only treatment is the lifelong, very strict gluten-free diet. And if the disease is untreated, can lead additional serious health problems. Can you go forward? Again, who we are Association of European Coeliac Societies. Our foundation was in 1998 in Rome. We are a non-profit umbrella organization. We have over 40 national celiac societies as members, and we connect and support celiac disease all over in the world. And we wanted to improve the life of people affected by celiac disease and dermatitis herpetiformis, which is the skin form of the disease, and maybe other gluten-related conditions. Can you go forward? How we work. We support our national celiac societies and empower them in their countries, and promote the European licensing system, which is the cross-trademark use in all over in Europe. And we wanted to monitor the emerging threats to people with celiac disease and encourage our members to find solutions. And we are looking for external funds and partnership with other organizations and partners and stakeholders. The next one. And what is the background of our today webinar is and we have now a new term. Is there some problem? Can we go forward? This is the food contact materials. This is an acronym that we are not known and not realized that why is important for us before. This is a regulatory level and deal with materials and any objects for food and beverages. Different kitchen and table utensils, containers, packaging materials for the prepacked foods, and nowadays everything that is we are using to consume the foods, and until now this is a mono-use or mono-use objects that very dangerous for our environment. Can we go forward? And it's true that our environment we have to protect it, and materials, plastic materials, we have to change it for compostable ones. For the loose foods and for the prepacked foods too. We think and we know that the most of the biodegradable packaging is derived from corn, cellulose, pulps, wood, and bamboo. However, these products also can produced from cereals containing gluten or pasta-based straws which are already on the market. At the moment, there is no obligation in Europe to declare this composition of this food FCM materials. So the next one. And that's why it's very important, very important to deal with, because we don't know yet how dangerous it is for celiacs. The next one, please. So we have some proposal. No, I think that we have to stop here. And the first presentation will be done by Christina, because the Spanish Association was the first who realized and who called our attention for this danger.
Thank you, Tunde, for introducing myself. First of all, I want to know if my screen is shared right now, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Then, okay, first of all, like Tunde says, my name is Cristina Dabreu. I am a technical in charge of quality and safe food department at FASE. Today, we are here to talk about a problem that we had in the past and even in these days. and it is about biodegradable packaging, which is maybe a sustainable solution, but at the same time is an uncertainty for celiac people. First of all, like Tunda says, it's important to make you know who are we. FASE is a non-profit organization that works to improve the quality of life of people with celiac disease. In this case, we are working in Spain, okay? We also seek to promote the social integration of this group of people in the environment in which they promote, okay? We are working with 25 associations which are on all the territory in Spain, okay? As you may know, and as Tony says, the only treatment for the celiac disease is to follow a gluten-free diet. It must be strict and it has to be followed on all of the life. The gluten-free diet is not a lifestyle, it's a therapy that has to be used for all people with celiac disease in all the life. In the other hand, we have a problem that biodegradable packaging is a new tendency that we found on the market because environmental awareness about the use of plastics and other inorganic materials for disposable biodegradable packaging has led to emerging increasingly widespread using food contact materials of organic origin. The problem is that at the moment, currently, there is only the European recommendation from 2019/794 of the Commission, and it's just talking about how to coordinate the control or a plan to control the products that could be migrating to the food contact, but it's not talking about cereals that contain gluten and could be present on this kind of packaging, okay? The thing is that the newest recommendation, even when it's new, is not talking about gluten or products made with gluten or cereals that contains gluten, and that products could be a problem for our collective. Okay. However, unlike regulations on food and beverage in Europe, it's not mandatory to know how or to declare which materials are present on this kind of products. So, is it safe for all the people to use these kind of materials to packaging food? What do we have on the market? What are the materials alternatives? Like Tony says, there are all kinds of them. Many of them are even edible as such: sugarcane, cellulose, bamboo, plant-based, and cereals. And when we are talking about cereals, we can find some materials made from corn, wheat bran, barley, rye, pasta, and cookies. So that is a problem for all people that have celiac disease, okay? So biodegradable packaging could be a problem for celiacs. Of course, could be, because many reasons that we can name. First of all, lack of knowledge of the raw material who is made this kind of products. Not knowing the production process and the possible contact with another cereals, and being in constant contact with another kind of materials. If we are eating a gluten-free product in a plate or a dish who is made from a cereal containing, of course, could be migrating on the product final. Cross contact by transfer can occur even when we change the temperature or the density of the food that we are eating. So what we had, when I started my job in FASE in 2019, and my colleague Maria van der Hofstad at the moment, now she is not working, but she's here and I let her hug. And when we were working, we were thinking like, oh, these kind of materials could be like dangerous for people. Let's go to make an experience. And then we have the brilliant idea to start a kind of contract with the University of Seville to carry out a kind of experience which we can find any information about the migration of these kind of products. In this kind of study, we work in team with Anna Campos, Izaskun, Maria van der Hofstad, and then we carry out an 7 experience that give us some idea of what we have on the market. So what was the objective? To measure the migration capacity of particles from the packaging to the final product. In this case, we want to know that if gluten could be migrating to the final product. Foods, we use some foods with different densities and textures, subjecting them to different temperatures and putting them on all the greatest risk that we can do it, okay? In this moment, we use rice, milk, and vegetable soups. The experiments that we carry out, it was using 2 types of materials of biodegradable packaging that was dishes made from wet bran and straws made from barley. As you may notice, here we have 2 images, 2 photos that we take. This is the Maria hand, by the way. We have this kind of pictures because it was incredible that we were serving the milk on the dish, and the dish, it was like a bowl of cereals. So that was like, we have to investigate that right now. And we were obviously anxious because of the results. So what was researched? The main question that we had, it was if the gluten-free products were contaminated, if they were in contact with biodegradable products, and look at the results. We have here a table with 7 experiences that we had. They were cold rice on a wet bran dish, hot rice on a wet bran dish, cold vegetable cream soup and hot vegetable cream soup, even served on the same dish, hot milk on the same dish, and cold milk and hot milk pipetted with a biodegradable straw. In the other hand, we analyzed the wet bran dishes and the barley straws by themselves. The results are conclusive. As you may notice, of course, the wet bran dishes was with 80 ppm of gluten, and the barley straws, it was not detected, okay? Of course, the products that we had or we served on the dishes made with bread, it was positive too. So what have we found? Before of all, as you may notice, the images are clear. The plate with some liquid food, it was like the dishes, it was like melt, and it was in contact with the product that we served them. The wet bran dish tested by itself gave results above 80 ppm of gluten. The results shown down in liquid matrices, it was more propense to contact the food products, so of course it was contaminated. The straws made with barley, in the other hand, it wasn't detected gluten in their interior. So the presence of gluten in the samples that we use with the straws, it was negative too. Conclusion, the test results show that the gluten from the service contaminates the final product, okay? Even, of course, when the packaging is containing cereals with gluten, okay? In case that we are using another kind of materials or biodegradable materials that are not containing gluten, of course, the final product is not containing gluten. So our recommendation is not to use this kind of tools or disposable tools because they are on risk to contaminate the final plate. Important here is that we have to mention that regarding the use of these possible tools, we give the same advice not to use not just plates, even forks, spoons, and any kind of tableware that are made with cereals with gluten. Keep in your mind that in many countries, even in Europe, are using some straws made of pasta. Of course, this could be risky too. FCMs derived from cereals that contain gluten should be avoided by celiac people. Okay, except when we are talking about wheat extracts made from stem, because we have analyzed it too, but they were not gluten present in there. Okay, at the European level, the AOACS is already trying to contact and being in contact with a EFCA, European Food Safety Authority, to try to regulate this information and make that these kind of products are not available for celiac people. If you have any doubt or request about our study, you can contact with me or with the Federation with this information of contact, okay? Now I will put you on the screen to my colleague from Netherlands, Floris.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Only two things. There's maybe not everybody from the audience knows that for the gluten-free products, there is the definition that gluten-free products can have a gluten content maximum 20 milligram per kilogram.
Yes.
This 80 milligram per kilogram is seems to be only 4 times higher. But I think that was the maximum limit of the use test. So maybe that the content could be much
more than that.
So that's to remark. I think that could be useful for the audience. Yes. Okay. Then the floor is for Floris. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Sorry.
Can you see my presentation?
Not yet, but
not yet. Oh, then
yes,
something.
Because you are sharing the Zoom.
Yeah, I'm afraid I was sharing the wrong screen. Let me try to. If I can
if
find.
you have any trouble, Sue can help you, and she can start your presentation if you want. That's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, a tiny bit of research from the Dutch Coeliac Society we did back in 2019 as well. So apparently that was a subject that came up in this year. And we especially looked at disposable materials that are used at festivals and other events. So we looked at a wheat bran plate, a bowl, which apparently is edible. Well, if you looked at a photo with the milk, it sure is edible, if you don't have celiac disease, I must say. We also looked at wheat bran utensils and an edible straw, which was made from wheat bran mixed with apple pulp and sugar. So it's not made from the stem, but from wheat bran. These are the results. You see that we tested the materials, so like soup, milk, and gluten-free bread, which were obviously all below 5 ppm with respect to gluten. We also tested the materials themselves, so the wheat bran bowls, utensils, and apparently they were all way off the charts with respect to gluten. And then in the bowl we put hot soup, and there you see a clear cross-contamination up to 93 ppm. The milk, you see also a cross-contamination. It's still below 20, but coming from below 5, migrating through a straw, this was cold milk. You see a clear cross-contamination. So probably when the temperature is higher, or when you put more volume through it, the contamination can get well above 15 ppm. And then the bread from the plate, that's even, I think this is quite alarming. 24 ppm is not that high, but we only cut the bread with wheat-bran utensils and moved it on the plate, so there were no liquids involved, was no temperature rise involved, and even then, only with mechanical manipulation, you see a cross-contamination coming up. So that's also something to keep in mind. I also looked up a conversation I had with somebody from our Ministry of Health, in the end the boss of our food safety agency, and he really took our results serious. And well, it's very much summarized, but he said the legislation says that consumers should be protected. However, was his reasoning, these products cannot be forbidden, and he made a parallel to food products where there are still food products on the market containing allergens, but the solution we have there obviously is labeling, and that's what he referred to. He referred to another EC regulation, and he said these products should be labeled in order to warn consumer with gluten-related disorders that they shouldn't use these kind of products. He also mentioned this in EC working group back in February 22. I don't know what the results did, but were from that working group, but it already has been raised, at least by the Netherlands, on a policy-making working group. And then he put the ball back in our court when I said, what can you do about it? He said, well, you can file, or you can ask your members to file formal complaints. And maybe if you look at the date when the meeting was 25 February 2020, let me refresh your memory, that's right around the time that COVID struck. So this kind of went off our radar, and we didn't follow up on it. But then something that is not in my presentation, but about a few months ago, we were contacted by the Dutch packaging industry, their organization that organized a meeting on this subject. We were invited. Unfortunately, I could not attend, but we exchanged information. So this was an initiative from the industry to look further into this matter. And I invited Corné Huiben from the organization to this webinar, and I saw he's here. So a special welcome to Corné, and maybe we can exchange some thoughts later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Floris. Again, and only very small remark. The ppm means parts per millions, and is the same milligram per kilogram as an ISO term. So we are speaking about the same levels and same numbers. And the next speaker is Susanna Neuhold from Italy. I think that the latest and the very how it's called, it's very dangerous result she can present now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Tunde and Cristina and Floris, for your very nice presentations. Indeed, my presentation is almost a repetition of a confirmation of your results. And this is very important, I think. I try to be quick. The difference of our study that we just finalized at the end of this of the last year is that we made also a survey both on the packaging materials used for prepackaged foods and beverages also, and also on tablewares and cutleries. So not only migration test, but also a survey of what is available, what is really in the Italian market. So in 2021, we made a survey on all the companies that join our food and drink directory. That is a big list of food companies in Italy, and 150 companies responded. And this could be considered a sample representative of the Italian market. The interesting results were that 15% of these companies of prepackaged foods already 2 years ago, and we know that this is increasing very, very quickly, this use of biodegradable packages. 2 years ago, 15% of food companies were already using compostable materials for the package of their prepackaged foods and beverages. And as already Cristina said, the most were made by paper, cellulose, pulp, wood, bamboo, and they were used in a very transversal way. So for both solid, both liquid, room temperature, frozen, so in very different ways, and very widespread, and I think always increasing. 77% of the companies said that the materials that they use that do not contain gluten. But the very surprising reply we received were that 23% were at first unaware of whether the packages contain or not gluten. And this was very surprising. So we asked them, they asked the suppliers, and then they said, no, they don't, our packages do not contain gluten. But at first they were not aware. And only one company out of the 22 that were using compostable materials were using a specific procedures to check if gluten and other allergens were present in their packages. So only one out of many companies. So there is a good news that at the time of our survey, no gluten-free products on the market, on the Italian market, were contained in packages derived from gluten. So this was a good news. But the bad news was what I have said, that 1/4 of companies didn't check about the possible presence of allergens and specifically of gluten. So this is very important to disseminate information, to raise awareness around this issue. Then we made a survey on the supermarkets, on tablewares and the cutleries that were sold in supermarkets. So as the photo you can see. And we found very little products made of gluten components. So we find both in supermarkets, we also made a survey online on what an Italian consumer can buy in the supermarkets or online. And we found only 2 brands of weight straws and 2 brands of weight bran plates and nothing else. And then we did, as our colleagues from Spain and the Netherlands, a migration test. We made it was the same. We made the test on the the materials, on the food contact materials, and on the migration. And the first interesting and useful information was that straws were not containing gluten, and so we didn't do any migration test. And this is a confirmation, because I saw from Christina's presentation that also straws made of barley,
Barley,
also they didn't contain gluten, because they come from the stem, not from the grain. So this is a confirmation that this kind of straws could be considered safe for celiacs. Instead, of course, those analyzed by the Netherlands Society that were made like a pasta are, of course, a risk, and in fact, they contaminated their migration tests. Regarding the weight bran-based dishes, it is also a good news that the vegetable origin was always well declared. So for both these brands, it was declared that they were weight bran based. So this information was given to the consumer. And another interesting factor is that they were characterized by this dark color. So the weight bran could be recognized when there are these cutleries, these tableware are dark, are not white like the classical ones. So this is something interesting and useful for celiacs. So then we made, as our colleagues, two migration tests, one cheese, soft cheese and room temperature, and one with gluten-free lasagna, hot, because it was put in a oven and became hot, and then they were put for 30 minutes on a plate. So this is a worst case scenario, of course. It is a very long time, but it was to understand the situation after 30 minutes on the plate. And you can see from the photos that this is very similar from the photos of the Spanish dishes, that they just melted with the food. So this is also possible that you can eat at the end of the dishes also. So in both cases, there was a consistent migration of gluten into foods. This plate contains a lot of gluten, and there was a great migration, higher migration with hot food, and this confirms also what we have seen before. So, okay, we confirm that such products should be avoided by those that have celiac disease, and the only exception could be made, according to us, for wheat or barley straws, because they don't come from the grain. As we have said, now we have no regulation, but it could be possible to ask for a similar regulation for food contact materials about allergens. This in order that the food companies, both the producers, both who use them, has an obligation to give clear information to the final consumer about the possible presence of allergens. So thank you very much. And of course, I'm available for any question. We don't, Tunde, you are muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Susanna, for this excellent presentation. And I heard it second time, but I am absolutely shocked with the result again. So, so that's very, very, very important, this topic for us. And so can we continue my presentation with the procedures, what we are proposing, and what we are thinking on how to continue with this project or this topic, and how to find a solution for at the end for giving higher security for celiac patients. Thanks to Italy and the Italian Packaging Institute, who created this form, qualified the materials of the vegetable origin, and this could be a very good basis to develop similar paper and document to get information about the biodegradable tools and packaging materials. The next step, then that would be very good, and the next step is for the celiac associations, our members. For example, the Italian proposal that this declaration or information, it must be mandatory for the companies who wanted to take part in the Italian and other national food and drink directory and handbooks, and also to our eating out program. So that's a nice and big task for us for the next future. And we also have to work about to elaborate a similar procedure also for our ELS, the European licensing system, and also we have to include minimum one condition to our AOECS standard for the prepacked food. The next slide, please. And what we can do on European level, Christina already mentioned that we have to call the attention, we have to contact the European Food Safety Authority and the European Commission. And I think that we have to contact also with other relevant European and professional organizations, with the restaurant owners, with the hoteliers, with the festival organizers, to call their attention that okay, they are keeping the environment, but please be careful, and also deal with the health of celiac and other allergic patients. And until this EU regulates, we think that this could last years, but I think that this again our task to spread knowledge about the risk of food contact materials for among the celiac patients. And I think that we need more survey, and that could be enlarged the participants, and we wanted to involve more AOCS members and get and finally have a wider picture about this problem in Europe. And the next one is our recommendations. It means that we recommend for celiacs, the patients, that be careful when you go to festivals or buy some very convenient plates, glasses, and okay, you are absolutely keep and protect the environment, but sometimes it could be dangerous for your health. The wheat straws is something that we can see, we can buy or already in the shops. The pasta straws are absolutely not recommended for use by celiacs, and all the other tools, if we can choose, we need to choose those which are declared. We know what material is made of, and it's very important. If we don't know what is the real origin, it's better not to buy it and avoid it, the use. And for the retailers and the supermarkets, this is the first time that we wanted to call their attention that there is a risk, a real risk for a vulnerable group of customers and their buyers. So be careful and take more importance for the materials. And another one is give clear information to celiacs and the allergic consumers, also about the composition of the tools, biodegradable tools, and packaging materials. And I think that at the moment we arrived to the most interesting and most part, the questions, remarks, proposals. And I see Christina's hand, so the floor is yours.
It's just one thing that I was looking in the chat, and Simon Dawson is asking us if the migration of gluten is applicable to any kind of food, or even if it's cheese or bread. And at this moment, we can't take a risk with any kind of products. I'm sorry, because celiac people can't eat anything with gluten. So if the packaging is saying that could be made from cereals that contain gluten, maybe the thing is a signal that we can't use it. So even when we are serving an hamburger, it's not possible for celiac people.
To add to that, I refer to our research where we put bread on a plate and only moved it around and cut it, and already there we saw cross-contamination. So there was no moisture involved.
Yes, even the lasagna that Susanna used is the same thing. So at the moment, the recommendation is not to use. Okay.
Okay. The next, Herta, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. I contacted an Austrian company who sells this kind of plates, and he informed me that already in the year 2016, he imported these wheat bran plates from a company located in Poland. But he do not use it again because, according to his experience, if this kind of plates are very, very easily broken, and therefore this is the difference. And additionally, when there is something liquid or a little bit liquid on the plate, it's diffused into the plates, and then the plates are broken again. So he will never buy it again because of the very, very poor quality. However, he informed me that such products are also produced in India. And of course, he doesn't know if these plates producing in India maybe have some other additives which prevent the broken. So this is what I found out in Austria.
Thank you. I think that the technologies can develop, so I think that if something is not very perfect, the next time the company, if he wants to sell more of this product, they can develop their technology. So the danger is there, and we can't be sure that everything is solved. I see the chat.
Is a comment.
Yes, okay.
I think it's not a question, it's because
it's a comment,
talking about other kind of materials that are on the market that we have to aware. But in this case, we are warning about gluten because it is our collective people. but we know that there are some materials that could be dangerous for people, but we have to call the attention of EFSA.
Yes, I think that the most important thing is the now to be to try to know the composition of the packaging, so of everything that could come into contact with our foods. We have not to be too much worried in this moment, because I think the problem now is very little. But is important to that our associations contact producers, for example, retailers, also asking, for example, for bags to raise awareness, because now the possibility to find this food contact materials derived from gluten is very low, because usually they are made, for example, bags are made from corn, from matter B and something like that. So I think there is no real risk, but it's important because this is a very a market that is evolving and developing very, very quickly, and we should be ready when many products of this kind will be on the market. So for me, it's important now to raise awareness among food retailers, food producers, caterers, and of course to lobby for the European Union to take action to make a law on this issue. And of course, as Tunda said, it is very important, I think, to cooperate with the associations of allergic people, because the problem is the same.
And I think that there is not a danger, but the companies are the environment conscious companies has a target of the zero waste. The zero waste means that any materials coming from their raw materials must be elaborated for any different kind of products. So it means that the cereals and wheat in Europe is the biggest quantity of cereals is consumed and elaborated in different factories, food factories. So it means that the zero waste needed to do something with some useful product from the raw materials. So we have to also think on that. If there is no other question.
There is a question here.
Okay.
I also wonder about bags in supermarket. We buy vegetables, bring them home, and next day the bags is half decomposed in the fridge. I'm over exaggerating on purpose. So we have vegetable that is gluten-free, but stored in starch bag, we don't know. I can avoid straws and one-time use tableware, but not bags and paper towels. What are the recommendations here? Thank you very much. At the moment, if we are talking about paper towels, we don't have any kind of problem. I think so. Maybe you can correct me if I am wrong. But if we are talking about bags or paper, they are not made from cereals that contain gluten. So at this moment, today that we are on 7th of February is not a problem, but maybe on the future could be. I don't know. I don't know if Floris or Suzanne or Tunde are thinking another thing, but I think it's...
No, I agree with you, Christina. I agree with you. Yes, it's true. In this moment, they are not a problem but of course we must monitor the market. So I invite everybody who is shopping, supermarkets, etc. If they find something that strange or that they have some doubt, to signal to us, to the OECS or to the National Society, because it's very important to monitor the market and to see what will come into the market, in short.
There is another question. What are the risks of using a gluten-containing glue in a straw, which is made from a non-gluten material? That's a very good question. So we have to collect all these ideas. Yeah, we have to study it, and we have to enlarge our surveys also to this direction. But I think that the gluten is not an enemy for celiacs. This would be very simplified the problem. As gluten is not everywhere. So it's better to inform and teach our members that they have to know what is a real risk for them and what is not. So I think that to this new area of gluten-containing material and risk, it means that it's a nice job for the AOECS member societies. Herta, maybe you are not agree with me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you that we should be very, very careful how to proceed. On one hand, in any case, when we are seeing, or let's say when there is a potential risk, we have to very, very precisely investigate what happened about this. But also on the other hand, we should avoid to make all this celiac world neurotically, and when they see, let's say, a dark paper that they are considering that's pure gluten and it will be funded into vegetables, etc. I think we should be very, very careful on both sides, not overreacting, but of course to take it very, very seriously. For me, it's, let's say, to create too much fear and too much anger when there is no risk for it. For instance, papers and so on. We should be very, very clear what is the risk and what is not the risk.
Thank you, Herta. And that's absolutely our intention and our mission to our members and the other patients.
We have another comment in the chat that says that the remark about the bamboo response to this material being mentioned in the slides. Yes, we have to talk about bamboo because it's another material or another kind of material that we found at the market, but it's not a risk for the celiac people at the moment. The risk for us could be the cereals that contains gluten that are used on food materials using to make some packaging for food. Okay, the bamboo, it will be not a problem for us at the moment. And even not the sugar cane and another kind of materials, just materials made with cereals that contain gluten at the moment.
Yeah.
I remark that because it's at the moment.
Herta?
Yeah, maybe the confusion is that when people are not really know exactly where is the gluten in the wheat, that it's confusing that it could be on the straw, it could be on the halms and everywhere. Definitely not. The gluten is only in the cereals, and from the cereals, it's only 80%. So that means the starch, which is made from wheat starch, this is not gluten, of course, but this is another technical difficulties, technical issue. But I just want to recall a wheat straw cannot be gluten containing because of the botanical facts. So not to be a little bit too overreacting on this issue.
Okay, thank you. And if there is no more remarks, no more questions, you can contact us at any time, and you can see the record of this webinar. And thank you for my colleague, to Christina, Susanna, and Floris, and also Sue in background, and Herta, your very valuable remarks. So thank you for your presence here, and we hope to see you next time, maybe with the same topic or maybe different topics. Thank you, and see you.
Thank you, Sandra,
Bye
for
bye.
inviting
Hello.
us.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, bye. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Hello.